everybody, it is Wednesday, so you know what that means. Welcome to Wednesdays with Whit. I am excited because this time I actually have a guest. Steiner Inspires. We got a little audience in the background. Woo! Woo! So I'll give everybody a moment to come on because this is actually a different time than I usually come on, which if this is your first time watching, hi, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you follow, you like this page so that way you can always get notifications. T, I can see you. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. We're doing our Wednesdays with Whit a little bit different. And then also hit that share button so that way other people can get the message. We got a really special topic today that I'm excited about. So, like I said, if this is your first time watching, my name is Whit Devereaux of whitdevereaux.com. I am an author, an award-winning author, as well as an advocate for domestic violence and a mentor to women impacted by abuse. I wanted to have Steiner come on here. Thanks for the thumbs up, T. I wanted to have her come on here just so that she could talk a little bit more about a video I recently shared of her testimony, which stated that I am no longer surviving abuse, but I am now thriving. I'll go ahead and just share a little bit about how I know Steiner, and then I'll let her introduce herself and we'll get this thing going. So Steiner and I were actually on the APS book tour. Shout out to Tanil.
Whoop, whoop.
Yes, because she is the person who brought us together. We did an award, or not an award, but we did a tour for indie authors, and we were able to travel all over, and that's how we got connected. But from there, she's been a really good accountability partner and friend, and somebody that I talk to about all the things going on, especially when it comes to my business. So Steiner, can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then we'll transition to what you have going on.
Okay. So as she said, my name is Steiner. Steiner Martinez is my name. My author name, my business name is Steiner Inspires. And so I am an award-winning author, a healing and recovery accountability expert, and an inspirational speaker. And I'm a mother of 3 awesome young men. And I also am a workshop facilitator. So that is just a little bit of what I do.
Wonderful. And let's go ahead and just talk about a little bit more with the video you did, because you know, with the Facebook algorithms, a lot of people might not have seen the testimony. I did a call out through my blog for testimonials from different survivors so people could hear more survivor stories and be encouraged to know that they weren't the only person going through abuse and that they could also get out. So like I said before, the title of yours was I am thriving and no longer surviving abuse. Can you talk to us about the difference, like what it means to you to not just survive, but thrive after being abused?
So the difference between surviving and thriving is surviving is like you're just trying to make it moment by moment, day by day. You're just trying to get through it pretty much by any means necessary. So if that means that you drink your way through the pain, if it means that you might sleep around through the pain, you're just trying to get through it. You know, you've gone through the pain, you've gone through the abuse, now you're on the other side, you're trying to figure out how to live this life with all this additional baggage. As with thriving, you have made it through and you found other ways to actually deal with it, like talking, counseling, therapeutic ways that are actually beneficial for you. For me, journaling. So, and then sharing my testimony, that really was the point where I realized that I'm thriving because now I openly share my testimonies of what I've gone through in hopes that other people can be set free as well and bringing awareness to it.
Oh, that's a good transition. So I fully agree with the difference. I recently taught a class inside of my group, not by my own community, and it was about shifting from surviving to thriving. And we were really dealing with the mindset of a person who first is a victim, then they move to surviving, and then you move to thriving. And you hit the nail on the head. So you talked about now you are vocal about your experience. Can you share with everyone, like, what was your experience with abuse?
So I have experienced all forms of abuse. I've experienced emotional, sexual, physical, and mental abuse. And it started, from what I can remember, it started at the age of 2. My mother, I was burnt with scalding hot water, had to be taken to the hospital and, like, you know, get the skin, like, I forgot what it's called, where, like, you have to get the skin kind of scraped off of you, like with grafting sense when I was 2. And just all type of physical, I was emotionally abused my mom as well, with, like, not being able to eat, being told that I wasn't worth anything, being told I was evil, and just sexual abuse from some I don't remember, but some I do, like being molested, sexually abused, being raped, and then going on into actual abusive relationships with gentlemen, because I was just so used to that trajectory of just, like, it was the norm. And I was, from the time I've known myself, my mother told me that, you know, I was this way, I was that way, I deserved whatever. So it was just embedded and planted in my head.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And you guys, as you're coming in, please share this, because there's someone who needs to know. First, there is a difference between surviving and thriving, and then her testimony might be something that encourages other people to get out of the silence, to speak out about what happened to them, and then also to seek help, because help is available. So tell us, like, what you're doing now to support other people that are like you.
So one of my babies right now, my baby project, is Healing is a Journey, which is a conference that actually God gave me the vision for. I am a writer by nature, so journaling was always the way where I just kind of, like, did what I needed to do. And I had written 4 books that I was like, ooh, I'm going to build a workshop off of it. Well, God was like, no, you're going to do a conference. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that.
Right.
This is me, how I talk to God. You know, I'm not being disobedient. I'm just like that stubborn child. And so, but if I know anything, I know when God tells you to go bigger, it's because He has a bigger vision than what you can see before you.
Right.
And so I said, okay, God, I'm going to do this, but I ain't got no money, I ain't got no resources, I ain't got this. I just had a list of what I did not have.
Yeah.
And I was like, who am I to go and tell people that they can be okay, and I still have residual stuff I struggle with.
Right.
But the beautiful thing about healing in the journey is that it's a repeated cycle. You're always going to go through something, always going to be triggers.
Right.
But I wanted people to understand that you can start anywhere in your life with healing. There's no perfect time to start healing. There's no perfect place to do it. Now is the time. And I want people to see what it looks like to start that process. That you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all together. And so that's how one of the ways that I am currently helping others, allowing them to hear from great speakers, hear my testimony, as well as the books that I've written and published. My first ever book.
Here, hold it up so people can see.
Can y'all?
Is an author. Yeah.
My first book, Rebel Inspired: A Poetic Journey into Awesomeness, is a book that tells it's a poetic book that tells the story of my life, from the time of me being abused to actually the time of me trying to come into my healing. And when I wrote this book, I was like, everybody's gonna know what I went through. Oh my God! And I was scared at first, because then I was like, there was shame, fear, and it was just like, oh my goodness. But I knew that my obedience to God was not just for me and my freedom, but for others. So I was just like shaking as I hit the, like, publish button.
Right.
And then I cried. I was like, oh my God, I cannot take it back.
Right.
But the journey of people who have read this and have been able to connect and say, like, oh my God, I feel this, or I've gone through this, or I felt something released from me when I read this, know that I did the right thing. And so writing the conference, I'm also, like I said, a healing and recovery accountability expert. So I coach people on their process and their steps that they need to go through to start their healing and to continue on with it. Because I believe that healing helps so much of your life. I believe that a lot of people want to plant dreams and goals from a place of brokenness and don't even realize the stuff they've gone through is embedded deep inside of them. And so they're wondering why things don't pan out, why things fall through, because they haven't addressed those things, those pain points that just kind of like been just buried deep inside. Yeah. So I believe in getting it up and out. Start addressing it. Start acknowledging the things that happen to you. Start saying, you forgive that person, that situation. Start speaking it out of it into existence, out of yourself, and then start building from there. Start to release it so you can start building the life that God wants you to build.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you said that was your first book.
Yes.
Share with everyone your second one. She's a 2-time author.
Soon to be 3 times.
Yes.
So this is called Happiness Is You. It's a healing and hope journal, and it's a journal workbook. So it just walks you through the process of, this is the first of 4-part book series that actually coincide with each conference. So the first conference was March 23rd, was the very first one, the healing, and that's where you learn how do you start healing, by acknowledging that you've been hurt, forgiving the person's situation, and then moving forward and acting in faith that you are healed. You're walking through your healing. And so this kind of just takes you through the process, and it's the process that I've gone through. I've applied scriptures, I've applied quotes, I've applied space so people can write things out. Sometimes people don't feel okay with vocalizing it.
Right.
Well, write it out, write away the pain. List all of those people that hurt you, all those circumstances. Even if you've hurt you, we can be our own worst enemy. Write your name on and say, I forgive me.
Yes, that's so good. I actually talk about that. I'm going to be doing a forgiveness course. I'll tell you guys more about that on my next live. But forgiving yourself, sometimes that is like the breakthrough. Because we're like looking to put everything on everybody else. But once you start to really deal with like the root cause of what happened, and then just giving yourself some grace, because you're not what happened to you, you're not even what you may have done, and God, He forgives us. So we need to relinquish that bondage that unforgiveness can have on you. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. And what I like most about the Healing is a Journey conference. It really touches on the fact that healing is a process. Sometimes people feel like it's going to be an overnight thing. Like, no, it took you some time to get into that. It's going to take you some time to get out, to get free. But with God, it is possible. And with the Healing is a Journey conference, it's like broken down to quarters.
Yes.
So the first one you deal with healing. What are you going to deal with on your next one?
Fear.
Yeah.
Fear is something I've dealt with all my life. And this may not be for everybody, but I realized that when you've been abused, and particularly when you are abused by a parental figure, whether it's a mother or father, that trust is broken. That rejection comes in. You lose your identity, and so if once you lose that, in a sense, you don't know who you are. So you're fearful of things that you really shouldn't be.
Right.
God does not instill the spirit of fear in us. And as He says in the Bible, He inspires the spirit of power, sound mind, love, and so. But abuse does that. It's a trick of the mind where you think you can't do certain things. So I struggle with that, especially with the spirit of just feeling like I was going to die. Because I've came close to death so many times.
Oh my God.
That I didn't want to do things that were like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like, oh no. Or just being fearful of things that I shouldn't be. Being fearful to speak because I stutter. Being fearful to stand up and be myself because I didn't know if I'll be good enough. And so... that's a real type of subject for me, because I'm still in this moment are dealing with certain feels like this conference. I was like, I've never done this, but I've learned that when you step out on faith and you face those fears and you acknowledge it, say, I'm scared, God, but I know you got me. I'm gonna push through it. I'm a crybaby, so as you know, I cry a lot. So that's how I get through stuff. We cry together. I'm like, oh my God. But I feel like once you can conquer those fears and once you can face them and you know that God's not going to leave you hanging, you become unstoppable. You be like, I can do this.
Absolutely. So guys, please go ahead and share. I see a few of you have joined us. Hit the share button. We are glad that you are here. This is a very important topic, dealing with thriving, dealing with not just surviving, but thriving, moving from healing to dealing with fear. Many people can attest to experiencing fear. It's not just limited to people who have experienced abuse. That's why I think the Healing is a Journey conference is so important. It's going to be on June 22nd. That's the next one. And it's at APS Books and More, which is here in Chicago, 2653 South Lawndale. And it's from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. So we would love to have you. And we're still going, so hit the share button. I have some more questions for LaSteiner. So if people want to come to the Healing is a Journey conference, like what are some ways that they can participate?
So they can hit me up on Facebook. So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, across all social platforms as LaSteiner Inspires, LaSteiner Martinez as well. Or there is, I'm going to use my phone because I don't remember the link offhand, but there is also a bit link that will connect them straight to Eventbrite. Or you can,
know it.
You know it by heart?
Yeah.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so for you guys that are watching, please put this in the comments. I'll go ahead and put it too. But it's bit.ly, so bit.ly /capital H, capital I, capital A, capital J, capital E, VENTBRITE. So that's HIAJ Eventbrite. So once you guys go to that link, it'll take you to all of the future dates. So like we said, this is a quarterly conference. What does that mean? That means that it's already happened in March, the first quarter. The second quarter one is coming up June 22nd. We have a September date. What's that?
September 28th and December 28th.
December 28th. So there are many opportunities for you to get involved, for you to participate. And I'm proud to say that I'm in partnership with LaSteiner. Yep. So I mentioned earlier about my community, which is not by my own community. Many of you know it's now a nonprofit. So that means that I can help more women impacted by abuse get access to different resources, such as the Healing is a Journey conference, as well as one-to-one mentorship. And that's something that I'm really passionate about. It's something that God has helped me to birth. And he's put me and LaSteiner together to make sure that people who are impacted by abuse don't have to feel stuck, right? They can know that they can go to a place of thriving beyond what happened to them. And that's really important. So again, the link, bit.ly /HIAJ Eventbrite, and you can register and you can sign up. There's one other thing that LaSteiner and I are working on, which is the upcoming survivorship cruise. I am super, super excited about that. And LaSteiner is actually going to be a panelist, sharing her story and also vending her books, which I know for a fact is something that has been transformational, even for my own daughter. Isn't that right, Anaya? Anaya actually read, hold up that Healing and Hope journal. She's off camera in our audience. Say hello.
Hi.
Hi, yes.
She's in our
we got an audience over here, you know. But she actually is reading the book and she journals in it. It's a really good tool. And when you are going through the healing process, you need tools that are going to support you. You need a recovery expert who's going to help you and hold you accountable. So when you're going through the healing process, you're not afraid and you stop. Because sometimes healing hurts.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Healing hurts. But just tell people more about that accountability expert, healing recovery. Like, what does that mean?
So healing and recovery. So it's just like if you get burnt or you have surgery, right? There's a part where you get worked on, and then you have to go to recovery area.
Oh,
So when you yes,
that's right.
Yes.
Hello.
So when you start that healing process, now things are open up, wounds are open up, you know, emotions, stuff are all over the place. You need to know what to do with that. Now, I do not replace a therapist. I am all for therapy. I went to therapy for years. So I am not a therapist. And that's just my disclaimer. But I feel like if you need therapy, I would suggest it because I don't have any shame in that. But when you're going through this process, stuff is exposed, you need to know what to do with it. You don't want to displace it in the wrong areas. You don't want to go back to things that you did before, like substance abuse or certain activities to make you feel better. Yes. And so what I do is I walk you through that process. You know, I hold you accountable. I push you. You know, not there. And I know how and when to push someone, because there are some people who you have to be a little bit more aggressive with to hold them accountable to get to where they want to go, because they're so fearful of, like, can I do this? And so I just get you through that. We talk about the forgiveness part. We work on your fears. We work on the whole overall picture, but I like to break it down. So you started like, where do you see yourself? What do you want for your life? What is one thing that you wish you can do? How do you envision your life? And you start breaking that. We start breaking that, dissecting that process down. Even writing letters to people who hurt you. Maybe you never mailed those letters, but if you write that out, people don't understand the power of writing things.
Yeah.
Write a letter and say this is to that person.
It's like
releasing it, seal it. If you don't want to mail it, you don't have to. But it's releasing that from your spirit. Once you release things from your spirit, the toxicity and the residual side effects of abuse, other stuff can start to be planted there. But then I'm here to walk you along what is to be planted there. How do you spend your time? What you should avoid? What your day should look like if you really want to live your best life.
Right.
So it's a process, and that's what healing and that recovery looks like. And on the other side of that, the recovery part is like, okay, now that you have this new sense of freedom, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to start living your life, or are you going to go back to your old ways? Because it's so easy to go back to what we're used to and not explore new things. So I'm like, okay, you said you want to write that book. Let's start today. 1 page a day.
Yeah.
15. Time yourself, and I hold you accountable. I'll send a text message. I'll send an email, call. Okay, have you done this? That's literally what I do, and we're on the phone planning things out, working on a few things. And if you don't believe me, go to my Facebook page, Speaking Inquires. There's reviews and recommendations of individuals who I've helped and walked through stuff. It's very personable, and it's very, I customize it based on what you want out of your life.
Absolutely. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this, not only is she like a friend, but she's one of my accountability partners too. And when I have things that I know I need to do, like the forgiveness course, I tell her because I know that she'll keep checking in. And that's what you need. I always tell everybody, like, every coach needs a coach, every leader needs a leader. Like, we all need somebody who's going to check on us, hold us accountable, and not let us just say we want to do something, but take no action to actually make it happen. And I'm really excited about this partnership. I believe that it is intentional, it's God ordained, because everything has been like falling into place. And that's how God is.
Yes.
Like, He just brings things together. Even when you mentioned about the part about fear, like how you were afraid to die, I don't know if I ever shared that with you, but when I was younger, my family, they didn't really understand, but I was like very afraid about death. I was actually told that I was a hypochondriac. And it was until like I was with my friend and her mother, and I'm just in the back seat like, oh yeah, I'm just a hypochondriac, you know, I thought I was gonna die. Like, I had a mosquito bite in my head, and in my mind I thought like I had a brain tumor. It was really crazy, but because they didn't know I had been abused, they didn't know the connection between that fear of things that you really didn't need to be afraid about. But in that backseat with my friend's mom, I told her that, you know, I'm just a hypochondriac. She's like, no, don't you claim that. It's like she was pleading the blood of Jesus, and I was sitting there scared. Like, oh. I was like 10, 11 years old, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I guess I'm not a hypochondriac. But the power of words, like, it's so powerful, because I really believed that that's what I was. It made me feel worse. But after she started speaking life over me, I started believing it. That's why it's so important to monitor your words too.
Yes.
Yes. So she said how you can find her, you can connect with her at Speaking Inquires. Is there anything else that you want to share with people, either what you have going on or letting other survivors know? Like, give them some type of encouragement, your parting words.
So, well, first of all, my books are on Amazon.com.
Yes.
But I also, if you're in the Chicagoland area and you want a personal drop-off, autograph signature, and a hug, inbox me. I'll inbox you the link. I'll pay. I'll deliver. That's how personal I am. But it's been placed. It's on my heart just to say, and this is a message to anyone who's been abused by their parents, specifically mothers and fathers. That if you have been abused by your parent, it is not your fault. You are not your abuse. I struggle with sharing being abused by my mom because sometimes it's still surreal. Sometimes it's like that mothers aren't supposed to do that.
Yeah.
You know, even when I started sharing my testimony, I felt a sense of betrayal towards her for sharing that, because it's like, oh no, I shouldn't be talking about her like this. But it wasn't and I posted this maybe like last week, that I share what I share about what happened, not as like to expose family secrets, but to actually expose the enemy, the devil, for the tricks of the mind that he does, and making us believe that, oh, don't tell anyone because they're going to think a certain way about you. So my message to those who've been abused by a mother or a father or a guardian is that it's not your fault. That you are not the words that were spoken over you. You are not your abuse. Tell somebody. If you are young right now and going through this, tell somebody. If you are older and you've experienced it, still tell somebody. There is power in sharing your testimony that will break the chains that can bind you. There is power in saying, this was done to me, I need help. I can, and I'm going to share this, and then we can close out however you want to. There was a moment where, right after God told me to do the conference, and I remember telling God, like, I don't think I should be doing this because I'm still healing from what I've gone through. And I remember just breaking down the phone. I think I called you afterward and crying, like, God, why did you let this happen to me? Mind you, I'm in my 40s, and I have been dealing with it by being strong and moving forward. But I realized that I never really had a good cry about everything I've gone through, because I just dealt with it. And I broke down in tears, and I was like, oh my God, this happened to me. Why did you have me born to her? And I realized that I had to be born the way that I was, through the vessel that I was born through, to be able to help the millions of people that God's going to allow me to help. And so,
come on, millions.
You saw I just claimed that right.
Yes.
So
it's on my shirt.
Is it? Yes, it is.
Hello, I got a shirt to say it. Hello.
So, but I just want to encourage anyone that's been abused by a parental figure that it's not your fault, and they may have very well been abused themselves. As I start to learn my mother's family history, I realized that it was a cycle. And so if you start now confessing that you are not your abuse, you can break that cycle so that your children's children don't experience that. And you just start pleading the blood of Jesus over your life. You start praying. You just know that it's not you. And you can't come out on the other side living a life that God has intended for you. You have to start with not allowing that abuse to claim you as who you are when it's not you.
Yes, we are cycle breakers. I see many of you commenting. Thank you so much for the comments. After this, we'll come both of us in the comments and reply to you. Please hit the share button. I have put the link where you can see all of the events we've been talking about, the Healing is a Journey conference, as well as the survivorship cruise, which you will need to soon put your deposit down. But like I said, I'll do another live about that. The Steiner will be a panelist on the cruise as well. It's at the top in the caption. It's whitdevereaux.com/events. And you'll see all of the Healing is a Journey conference as well as the cruise all in one place. You can register, you can sponsor, you can donate. It's so many ways to get involved, to either get your healing or help another person to get access to their healing. I think I see my mother in the comments. She probably laughing about that hypochondriac.
Hey, mother!
I see some smiling emojis, which is all right, you know. Thank y'all for tuning in. Again, you can connect with the Steiners also in the caption. I have her tagged as the Steiner Inspires. That's her Facebook business page. And we thank you just for taking the time to have your Wednesdays with Whit. Woohoo! As well as the Steiner Inspires and our studio audience. They playing the game. They're not even worried about us no more. But thank y'all so much, and I'll see you next week for Wednesdays with Whit. Bye-bye.